Welcome back. Now, Minister of Police General Bheki Cele yesterday briefed the media on policing successes in the fight against crime. The minister highlighted the work that has been done through the adoption of an aggressive, high-density policing approach named Operation Shanela to conduct crime prevention and also combat operations. Now, crime intelligence operations were also commended for their work in clamping down on organized crime syndicates like kidnapping, extortion, narcotics, cash in transit, as well as illegal mining and cross-border crimes. But how much impact does this have on communities who live in daily fear and are being terrorized by these criminal syndicates? To talk to us more about the interventions being made to combat crime in the country, we join now by General Bheki Cele, who's the Minister of Police. Minister, thanks so much for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Morning Live. Good morning to your viewership and to Leanne.
Minister, just reading through the statement yesterday that you, of course, presented in terms of the crime statistics and some of the gains that police have made in the fight against crime. If we look at the statistics for the 2023-2024 first quarter, which covered the period April to June 2023, it showed that Operation Shanela actually netted more than 90,000 suspects for various crimes that included serious crimes like murder and rape, among others. Now, please explain to us this aggressive policing approach and why you believe that this is a solution in fighting crime.
Again, good morning, Sakina. Well, we took a decision as both ministry and the management, starting from the 8th of May, that we will do something called Operation Shanela. That was more expansion of Okaimlau of Gauteng, that every province must have a high-intensity kind of approach, especially on those high crime days, Sakina. That is between Thursday and Monday morning. We then launched it in July, where we have said every weekend, police commanders, station commanders must be in their stations. There should be no weekend off, and bring more members. At least if people go for day offs and all that, it should be those lower days of crime. And we have really having some successes, as you've said, in collecting the outstanding people and even preventing those crimes happening. Since then, we have netted 107,000 people that have arrested. That is besides the last weekend, Sakina, that started from Thursday until Monday evening, where we have arrested 10,158 people. Those are the people that we arrest, as I'm saying, outstanding warrant of arrest, finding them in a place where they're not supposed, in the ship-ins, and having their houses raided for the guns and all that. But also, as we have said, there are crime intelligence-driven operations. Those operations that will be high-profile, that will be Omakado and other cases where people have had successes. Mostly it will be where there is exchange of fire between the police and the people that are supposed to be arrested. And we were simply saying to the nation yesterday, there are serious inroads that police are making dealing with such crimes and the crimes that bring fear to the lives of the people.
Minister, how would you define success, though, in this instance? Because you talk about, the arrest of more than 107,000 suspects. But what happens after that? Because if we're talking about success, I suppose it speaks to more than just what the police does, but the criminal justice sector in its entirety. So of those 107,000 arrests, how many of those people are still in custody? How many have been processed and are still going through the system? I'm just trying to understand what constitutes success in this instance.
Well, Sakina, every Monday, the ministry and the police management nationally, every Monday at 8, we meet and we look at how have we done over the weekend, as mostly these operations are for weekend operations. But also, we also look at the case management. As you ask, where are these people that we have arrested? Definitely, most of them, they're in custody. The success would have been from the side of the police to arrest those people and put them in the system. But I agree with you, that would be half success in terms of the criminal justice system, because those people still have to be processed, taken to court, charged, and go to correctional services out there. Indeed, it's half success, but we are quite satisfied up to this point with the numbers that are kept in custody, people that have not received bail, and cases that are not cases that are not withdrawn. Indeed, we are very much aware of the suffocation of the other legs of the criminal justice system, your courts, your prosecution, your correctional services. But from ourselves as the police, is that the warrant of arrest is given, you have committed the crime, we arrest you, we put you on the system, we monitor that you are there, and other sections must take longer in terms of trial and in terms of putting you in the correctional services.
So, Minister, obviously it comes down to how communities perceive these successes as well, because if communities still don't feel safe, because we know there's a trust deficit between the police and communities for various reasons. But if we look at, for example, in Gauteng, Premier Panyaza Lesufi launching the Gauteng Crime Prevention Wardens Program, and I've, on almost a daily basis, received messages of people asking, so where are these people? Because we're still living in fear in our communities. So talk to us about that. You know, these programs that are meant to augment what the South African police services are doing, because there seems to be a lot of questions around these wardens, what they're supposed to do, and actually where do they fit into the system overall?
Sakina, as the South African Police Service, we are constitutionally mandated to work hard that South Africans are safe. Not just safe, but they feel safe. I fully agree with you. We haven't reached there where South Africans, they feel safe. But I can assure you that there are South Africans, quite many of them, who are beginning to say, while we acknowledge that we don't feel safe, but we can see that police are making some of these inroads in terms of fighting crime. But also the big portion of policy, which is called by both legislation and constitution, but other commissions that have been put there, that could be Falam, that could be Professor Africa, to say, work on your relationships with the communities, because if you don't have better relationships, you are not going to win it. We're beginning to see those good outcomes. For instance, in a wood spread, where other criminals, the alleged criminals on the question of the cash heist were shot, 4 of them, and 3 were arrested, and there were 12 of them. The community, especially the farming community there, we work together. There are quite a number of communities that are increasing that we work together. That's a part of the police. But cities and provinces, they do have their extra efforts, especially Western Cape. It would be Gauteng now, where the police like Metro Police, where the police like extra law enforcement in Gauteng, they are known as wardens or stroka mapanya. Those efforts are for the cities and provinces. But those programs, Sakina, they fall under the Minister of Justice. They are signed by the Minister of Justice under the Criminal Procedure Act, where they come together with either a province or a city to work on that. They augment us, we work with them, and most of the time they work under the guide of the police, are not necessarily the structures that work alone. They work in an integrated way with the South African Police Service.
Minister, about police corruption, this, of course, has always been, a thorn in the flesh, not only of, I would imagine, yourself as the minister, but communities overall. And it just, the general culture that seems to prevail when we talk about communities feeling safe, where you see police themselves breaking the law or taking bribes, and that, of course, involves the community as well, offer the bribes. But police corruption is, of course, a serious matter. Are you making any inroads there?
Well, it's a worry. It's a huge worry. As the South African police, we are one structure that is highly monitored. You'll know that bodies like human rights, they monitor police, but there are those that directly, constitutionally and legislatively, is their responsibility. That is an IPIT. But also internally, there will be structures like ACU, Anti-Corruption Unit of the South African Police. And indeed, Sakina, is one painful day when the member of the South African Police Service is arrested. It's painful, I agree, but it's correct to do it. The problem is when some of them are really arrested for a very serious crime like rape, like murder, like involving themselves in things like robbery, things like cash in transit. There are some of them that have been arrested for that. So we shall continue to do that. The number is worrying, as you have seen, maybe the number that for the last 5 years, we have arrested 7,000 of our own members, though there are 680, those that have been found guilty out of those, and others would be cases withdrawn, others will be given small sentences, but some, as I've said, 608 of them have been really given heavy sentences for getting involved in that. The question you ask, does that worry? It worries a big portion of that is worrying the police ministry and management, and generally it must worry the community out there.
Minister, we have to leave it there, unfortunately, but thanks so much for your time this morning. That was Minister Bheki Cele, Minister of Police, talking to us about policing successes in the fight against crime and also interventions being made by the South African Police Service. Always welcome to tell us your views at Morning Live SABC.